So I spy with my little eye 1, 2 nightmen.
Oh,
Yeah.
full nightman.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's it feel?
Sucks.
I'll be
It's only-
honest,
it's
it
only
feels
day
really
in.
good.
Yeah.
I had a great first day.
Well, you're in socks.
I'm in socks at work. I got a sunburn on my head.
Are those toe socks?
Those are toe
Those
socks.
are toe
Oh
socks.
no! I was in full support of these socks until I saw the toe. But
No,
I guess
seen
that's
the toe socks.
that it kind of
toe
helps
socks are
add
just
to
a
the
side effect.
wackiness.
How often am I like cruising around in my sock
Okay,
feet as
so-
an adult male?
When I see
Pretty often.
a man walking around
This is probably
in
the
toe
first time you've
socks,
seen me running in a sock.
But I'm just saying, nowadays you're at your home, probably.
At home, I'm either in shoes or barefoot.
What?
Yeah, I don't like
Shoes.
wear socks around.
Oh yeah, no, me neither.
Yeah.
What? That's like an American thing to wear your shoes in the house, isn't
Yeah.
it?
On a hot summer day, if I'm in and out a lot, I'm just like I spend a lot of time overseas barefoot, so it's like choose one: shoes or bare feet. Here we go. I wear
Yeah.
socks
Well,
a lot.
I gotta say, if you're wearing toe socks, here's what that statement is.
I like
wanna
sweaty
be,
toes.
I want to be comfortable before anything else, right? Like I don't,
don't know
give a
if-
shit about anything but comfort now.
They kind of are more comfortable, aren't they?
Well, that's what it
Well,
says to me.
your feet can move. You don't have that like little pulling thing on the sides of your feet.
yeah. They're not trapped. Each
Well,
individual toe
Our
has
toes
its
are
own
meant to
space.
be out.
Yeah, and I guess in normal socks, well, I'm thinking of it inside a shoe, right?
Yeah.
You put these inside a shoe. A normal sock has your toes all like jammed together and kind
Yeah.
of sardini and squishy.
Yeah. Our whole world of shoes is crazy.
Yeah, it's like
world of
I'm always in
shoes.
between shoe sizes because my feet are not that long, but they're quite wide
Yeah,
for
I
how
got the
long
same.
they are.
Oh, fair.
So like I've got like a 12 length, but I need like a 13 width.
Oh,
so
see, I'm-
there's no place for me.
I'm the opposite.
I've got no home.
I'm an 11, but I've got narrow feet.
Oh yeah, well
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
that
does.
makes it easy. That should make it easy to find shoes, right?
Yeah.
Or else you're always sliding around in there, right? You're bopping back and forth all day.
Yeah. Just means used shoes never fit right.
Well,
Oh yeah, pre-stretched shoes.
Exactly. Because used shoes are never good. I bought new dirt bike boots yesterday, and I was having that like conversation like, my last dirt bike boots were the same brand and this like the same model and crap, but I bought them used. They were never comfortable. These ones, I'll break them in. They're gonna be so
I
comfortable.
don't know that
Yeah.
I've ever had used shoes. Have
Yeah,
you
I
had
don't.
used
I don't
shoes?
tend to buy used shoes. Well, okay, I got given a pair of boots, and they're fancy boots, and
Well, that's different.
Yeah.
Well, it's like most of the people that I hang out with, somehow we all have exactly the same size feet, and we all wear the same boots. So you're routinely like jumping into someone else's boots by
Is
accident.
that right?
And
well, if trench warfare taught us one thing, it's don't do that.
I don't know that I've ever been around the same. See, this is where you and I are like really, really separate.
yeah,
Like, because like last week Sarah was like, "Oh, Scott's not like a party guy though," and I was like, "No, Scott's a really social guy."
yeah, I
Like,
party a
he's
lot.
Really, and she's like, "Really?" It's like, "Yeah, he's pretty social." Like, I'm not social.
I would
like
call
to keep to
Scott
myself.
specifically social.
Fair,
Yeah, I like my tribe.
Yeah.
I make a tribe and I hang out with my tribe.
but like,
Fuck everybody
my
else.
tribe is like my son, my wife, and my dogs.
Oh yeah, I've got like a couple of like
And
20,
then the
30
shop.
person tribes.
Like, I'm very, very singular. Like,
yeah.
I have at times been a guy who will go out for coffee with people, but even that now I don't do.
Well, that is this now.
Yeah, that is this now.
No, like our normal camping trip will have like 10, 20 people. Our guys camping trip, like we have a guys only camping trip on private land every fall. There's
Yeah.
20 of us there. 20
Really?
dudes. Yeah.
That's
do
too
you-
many dudes.
So, like, do you feel like you know all of them very well?
No, there's definitely people that you know less well, but each person has tight connections within it. So by association, like you're only 1 degree away from being best friends with any one of these people, right?
Really?
Kevin Bacon.
Because someone you're super close with who's there is super, super close with that person. Just that person lives in Calgary or they were roommates with them 8 years ago, and now you only see them 2 or 3 times a year, but this person is still in close contact with them.
That seems like harder and harder to sustain as you get older.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
Yeah.
because I remember life being a little bit like that when I was like 17 to
Yeah.
20. Like, and I felt like I was falling out of that a little premature.
Yeah.
Like, I was the guy who was distancing from it. I was that guy that it's like, oh, what's that guy up to? He doesn't talk to anyone anymore. Because I had all kinds of other shit going on. But, like, that seems like when I see that happening into people's, like, 40s and 50s, I'm like, how? That's got to be so much work.
Well, that's the trick, because I don't text anybody.
Yeah?
I don't stay in contact with these people. Like I see these people when we hang out, when we camp, when we do stuff. We're not like, if I, like, don't get me wrong, I was texting Matt yesterday about some gun stuff. I text various people at various things, but I'm not in contact with
Gun
people
stuff?
on a regular basis.
He's in the woods with 20 guys, gun stuff.
Yeah.
He's on a watch list now.
I just wanted to bring that up real quick.
Yeah, well,
Guns before we moved on.
Yeah.
Well, I'm shopping for a gun safe right now, and it's surprisingly hard to find a gun safe with a good, like, electronic lock that doesn't weigh 400 pounds.
He doesn't have a gun, but he's buying a gun safe.
Yeah.
Because,
Well, that's what you need before you get the guns.
You need the
Don't
gun
need it.
safe before you get
You
the
should.
gun.
yeah, that's
Make
safe.
notes.
Hey,
Yeah,
if
you
we're
buy your
talking
safe
safety,
first.
that is the right order of operations.
Hey, I agree.
Well, I would get your license first.
But it's like walking around with a holster.
Okay, then there
It's
you
like
go.
walking
Done.
around with a holster
Oh
on
man,
your belt.
got-
if
you
we
got
want to go
round
into
one
gun
done.
license,
You know you got a
rant,
holster on your belt, right? Yeah, I'm gonna have a gun one day.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a gun license rant actually. Welcome to Canada and our insane bureaucracy. So.
Uh-oh.
They send you this ID. I think I already put it over there. It's a beautiful little thing, just like your license.
Yep.
It's plastic. It's flexible. It's waterproof. It's durable. It fits in your wallet. It's great. Along with it, they send a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that are your conditions. But if you're a normal person, you don't have any conditions. So it's just a statement of conditions, and there's nothing on the list. And then they turn it over, and it says, "Bring this with you everywhere. You must be able to present it if a peace officer or other authority asks for it."
Yeah.
So here you go. Here's your beautiful little license. It's gorgeous. It's purple. And a giant sheet of paper to bring with you everywhere forever.
To contrast that absurdity, I think that we're only headed towards more of that.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm still mad.
I don't think we're going to
obviously.
have less of that. I think we're going to have, like, eventually you're going to have, like, it might end up being digital.
It's just-
But you're
well-
going to have, like, 9 things that you need to show wherever
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Or else you're not going to be able to do anything.
But it's just lunacy to have such a well-crafted thing. And also, like, P.S., someone's job is to make your life harder by making this other piece of paper.
Yeah.
It's called a little loophole.
It's
Because, like, then, oh, you got your thing. Do you have your other thing? Oh, I got to take away your
it's more,
stuff.
It's more like the Ring of Fire. It's like, oh, you got to jump through this hoop, too.
Now, some could argue, I'm not arguing that, but some could argue that that's probably a good thing to make it so people pay attention. Because if you're a person that just takes that piece of paper and throws it away because they don't have any conditions on them, you're not paying attention. Whereas with guns, I feel like attention should be paid.
Yeah, well, I'm going to call, what I think I'll do is I'll call CFA and get really mad on the phone, like the Canadian Firearms Association. I'll get really mad on the phone and really seem off my rocker and upset about this so that they really take the license back.
All of a sudden, they'll send you a new form with a couple conditions.
Yeah,
like,
you now have a
huh.
lot of conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
you
form has
thought you were
changed.
going to
Yeah.
get away from this,
So
did you?
but that's it. I am seriously going to call them and be like, so listen, do I really have to have this? What circumstances do I have to have this? Because it kind of says at all times. I'm
Man,
like,
I would
that's
say-
a bit extreme.
I would say anything. If you get on the phone with someone and they say, yeah, it's not a big deal, I would immediately think that it is a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. They're
Right.
just paying you lip
Well,
service.
but if someone says, hey, as long as it's in the bag with your guns when you're
You're on
out
T now,
doing
too?
stuff, then we're sweet.
Yeah, may as well. Can't beat them, join them.
I think I've never seen you with tea.
Oh, I've been having tea a lot
Yeah,
lately.
we've been on a big tea train here.
Well, I've been drinking nothing but tea forever.
Nice.
So
Especially since these guys are all like, you can't drink coffee if you're tattooing, and it's like, yeah, you can't because you get all shaky. So
Well, if new in line,
Well,
anything
coffee-
else, I'm totally
coffee-
fine.
I still just don't want to be shaky.
Yeah.
So
I'm
coffee
so new to this. I gotta.
is
I gotta.
more of an intense burn.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
tea will pack a greater punch over time.
That's what I'm saying. Is you keep drinking that tea, you'll get a bigger buzz.
and I found that
But that's
like,
why I drink herbals.
I used to drink coffee every morning just to start the engine, but then I was realizing that it was kind of coloring my teeth too, and also like just that jitteriness that you get. It's just not worth it to me anymore. Like the one coffee I would have here a week, I started looking forward to it. But even then, it was like because my system wasn't used to it. It was making me go to the bathroom right
That's-
away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like the right coffee, the wrong time of day, you'll have a weird poop too.
Yeah, it was really
Like, for
weird. I was
sure.
like, why am I feel so gut rotty? too
Yeah,
after.
suddenly you're like, I think I gotta have a funny bowel movement right
So
now.
then I even had to kick the coffee I was having here.
Huh.
Whereas like I can't do unless I'm doing coffee every day. I can't do coffee.
Nah, I'm still a coffee junkie.
I love coffee.
But this lockdown, I'm trying to like kick coffee out, just go hard tea.
When I drink coffee, it's straight black.
That's right, vodka
I don't
my tea,
screw
baby.
around with additives. Like I know everything's got to be straight black with me, right?
To be fair, the tea is green.
Yeah, my green tea is always nothing added to it. The only other thing I drink is chamomile tea. Green tea, chamomile tea.
No, I drink all the teas.
I love all tea.
I've
But
got
those are
some-
the two that I find.
How old are we?
I've got some. What's up, 10-minute tea
3
conversation?
three
No,
old
let's
men
talk
talking
about
about tea.
That's not exotic enough.
You know, because
How-
caffeine was just really having a hard time with my
Wow, I had
digestion,
really bad
so all of a
bowel
sudden I just
movements.
feel like tea is a far kinder way on my gullet, and that.
Yeah,
like, what are
something-
we talking about?
Up here in Birminghamshire,
nothing
we really
good.
have a good English.
This is how
breakfast.
cool the tattoo world is right here.
And then next week, man, did you see the views on the last one? We had an audience retention of like 3 minutes.
Or they all seem to love the tea talk.
Yeah, somehow it's the best podcast ever.
Or
Yeah.
maybe like every other all dude podcast, our audience is 31 to 47 year
Yeah,
old
there's
men.
a really specific
Yeah.
demographic of people.
We
that
might be
watch.
speaking exactly to a demographic. who's
Yeah, that's
going,
fair.
Yeah, I had a
There's
weird-
some
All the
guy
guys
at
that are
home
just like,
listening,
yeah.
like, yeah, man, I had a really terrible poop the other day too.
I switched to tea because of the same reasons.
Yeah, man, coffee's got my bowel movements all out of whack too.
That's
We're
like
keeping it down to earth here.
having Alicia here as our young apprentice
Oof.
is like, it just shows me my age so often.
Yeah.
But she is really, really a 20-something girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've never really spoke to her much, but even just seeing her maneuver around and like interact with people,
Their
I'm like,
general behavior is 5 years below what her actual age is.
yeah, exactly. Like she's really, really a 20-something year old
Because she's been
Yeah.
plugged into that skater generation or something a little bit past what you would expect it to be.
Yeah.
So a lot of her mannerisms and outlooks are matched up to what you would expect to come from a 21-year-old.
Yeah, it's really young.
But the thing is, like, in her group of people, she's the one that's like the mature one.
Oh, yeah, for
Which
sure.
can definitely happen. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
It
But I'm just wondering, like, how
it
young are
says
these
to
people?
you know, you are who you're around to some extent.
Yeah.
Like if
definitely.
you're only around 20-something-year-olds, then it doesn't matter if you're the oldest among you.
Yeah.
You're still a 20-something-year-old.
Yeah.
Right? But if you start hanging around, like, 'cause this happened to me when I was young. When I was like 17 working overnights with like 30 to 40-year-olds. Yeah. 30 to 40-year-olds. And it was like, you can't act young in that environment.
Nah.
Yeah.
And if you do, it's a real problem.
Well, you look like an idiot.
Yeah, you look stupid and you're the joke all the time.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
always the joke. So you're trying to find ways to become the serious person.
Which is sort of a fake it till you make it thing.
Yeah,
typically.
exactly. And that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
Predominantly was like well ahead of my time. Like I was like dealing with like real world crap way too early, and then by the time I got out of that situation, it was like, I wish I had time to screw around.
Yeah.
And then I felt a little bit resentful of like my peers that were still.
But then you watch your peers and you're like, wait, no, I'm
Doesn't
kind of
see that
grateful.
happen.
I'm kind of grateful for that experience.
I had a great time with. I had a buddy of mine that we and him and one other guy moved out together when I was 16. That's when I first left home, and
Back in your homosexual days.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Experimental days. No, but sort of. Like I definitely had. I kissed a guy,
Really?
but not for me, for him.
Huh.
But
What does that mean?
it means that I had a gay friend,
Yeah.
and he had a boyfriend, and the two of them found me attractive, and it was his birthday, so I gave him a kiss.
Cool.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Yeah. My buddy went
It
in for
was
the
his
kiss
birthday.
on. So New Year's this year, of course, we're all like sequestered and segregated and crap. So it was just like myself, Rowan, and then one of my like long-term best buds hanging out. We were like on Zoom with a bunch of other friends and shit. And New Year's, I kiss her, and then he leans in. I'm like, he thought I was gonna do it. He was trying to give me a kiss on the lips. I was like, I'm good. I think I'm okay.
Well, I wouldn't do it now, but
Yeah.
back then it was different.
Now that you're a father.
I was much more social too.
I kind of wish as that guy, just with the hard Christian upbringing, it like feels super freaking weird.
It was
like-
it was weird even then for me, but it's weirder now.
Like,
It's weird for me to even say that I did it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I did that. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
a lot happier and more go lucky when I was young.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think the willingness to, even symbolically try something like that is a good open-minded thing.
Yeah,
well,
I think
if there's anything I've ever been, it's open-minded.
this is where, yeah, that's fair.
I've never had a closed mind to new ideas.
Ugh, I do sometimes, and I hate it.
You got to remember that we are slowly working our way out of old habits of thinking. I think this is one of the reasons that you see pushback from aggressive pushback from younger people towards older people, because I remember thinking that my the older people ahead of me, their way of thinking was crazy, because it was.
Yeah.
And mine seemed very rational because it was at the time, but mine was still closed off compared to younger kids now. And I don't know if that's necessarily all good or all bad, or if the directions are good or the directions are bad or anything like that, but I just know that thought process continues.
Yeah.
Because you kind of get to this place where you've lived out through the societal times. It's you have to kind of accept the fact that things take forever to change, even if you think that they should change fast.
Well, also the culture's always changing, and when you're at 40, you're like, well, I'm ready for it to stop changing and just ride it out now. But the young people are like, no, it's time to change the culture.
Yeah, we're here now.
And the change keeps happening because they're here being proponents of change.
I think with our connectivity these days,
Yep.
and that we're all online, and it's very easy to talk to the entire world.
It's clear we're all in the same swimming pool.
We're all we're changing rapidly, and it's that's gradual change that we were getting for hundreds of years, seemingly, where we had your big leaps, but it was very gradual if you look at our evolution. Now it's hyper accelerated.
That said, even don't get me wrong,
we can't keep pace.
That could be our view of it, though.
Maybe,
but it's been out of pace for a long time now. It's so easy to, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge proponent of saying, oh yeah, we live in crazy times. I'm stoked to be alive now to see what happens. But
I never thought I would find myself falling behind, and I'm sure everyone thinks that.
Everyone thinks that.
But I always felt like I was
on
the
cutting edge. Our generation's the cutting edge.
I always felt like I
Tip of the
was
spear.
really forward-thinking person. And my forward thinking has become somewhere middle of the road.
That's right.
And it's certainly not backwards thinking, but it might be eventually.
So here'd be my question: does that happen specifically because of time, or does that simply happen because you can't?
You become inflexible?
No. When you're a kid, you have this certain kind of ability,
exploratory curiosity.
Totally, and time to do so.
Yes, lack of responsibility.
Yeah, and I think the problem is with responsibility, what you end up getting is that drawing your focus away from that kind of childlike mindset, right? You have to work back to try and get to a more imaginative way of being. And I think it's less about the fact that my theory would be, if you could stay in that place, maybe you would stay in that interest as well.
You could stay childlike. You could stay current.
Yeah, or even just that your time, your extracurricular time, as it were, was invested in the same things. Say when you hit your 20s and you didn't have to go get a job and you didn't have to live your real life and go pay your rent and all that stuff. That probably then would keep you in that childlike space that you could interact with those things at the same rate that you were doing before.
So I have a bit of a yes maybe to go with that. So I've done a bit of reading on this, and more in regards people's political views and personal preferences. But as we age, it's actually fairly well accepted that as we age, especially by the time we start hitting that late 20s, early 30s, our values start to consolidate. We start to become, it's not less flexible, but we've tried more things and we've fucked around with more shit. We've learned more things and gone, no, there's some stuff that I just actually, some concepts, some ideas that I just actually am not interested in, don't really care for. And some things that do matter to me and have become important in my life.
Some people get to that
it's
point.
not an inability.
That's biological, though. That's
biological,
your brain is
exactly.
wrinkling to cement your synapses closer together. It's
Yeah.
one of the reasons that I'm a big proponent of psychedelics. Hey, we're there.
We did it.
Was about
We're back in
that time.
psychedelics.
Because if you
I
want to
didn't
be
take
able
any
to,
this morning, did you?
yeah, oh yeah.
Ah, damn it.
Well, I mean, whatever.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
What
can
am
you
I?
not tell?
What am I?
I should have done it with
I
breakfast.
could tell right away if he hadn't. It's a very obvious cue that I get from you, where it's you're just more chill.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, you're just more calm. more.
Yeah, because calm is not exactly how I would describe myself right now.
Yeah, no, I know. I like I said to Scott, it's probably a good thing Kevin isn't here for the last podcast.
Yeah.
Because I figured you weren't going to be in a great frame of mind for it.
I drove 9 hours enraged.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, that's legitimately something I said to Scott. It's probably a good thing
Yeah.
Kevin has this one off.
I had to, like, I listened to a book on psychedelics as I drove, just to kind of help my brain a little bit. But still, I would pause it every once in a while just to, like, scream in my car. It's just angry. Anyway.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Adult
yeah.
life, eh?
Well, yeah. This isn't even adult life. This is child life.
Yeah, fair.
This is our parents are telling us we have to go to our room,
Yeah.
and none of us like it, and it's hard.
And
But
it's not our turn.
what do you mean?
We've already had a bunch of lockdowns. Send someone else fucking home.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Believe me,
sorry.
I know.
Sorry, I'm diving
I was
back
gonna
in.
say-
Oh, we're out. I'm not talking about
I
anything.
know
No, it's
all
fine.
about
It is
that.
what it is.
I've been on that for a long time. Can't you punish someone else instead now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
You
do
keep
this.
going after the same
not
people.
It's not my fault. Why am I unemployed again?
Well,
Thank God I got my house this time, so it's not fucking up. Like, if this happened a month ago,
Yeah,
I'd
you'd
be
be screwed.
fucked. If this was 30 days ago, I would be fucked in the fucking ass.
Gross.
It's fucked.
It's a lot of fuck.
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. I'm really lucky it happened now, not a month ago.
Like, part of me also kind of goes, like, I walk into Stella's, or I know that you guys are working and things like that, and I kind of just go like, well, I can complain, but they get it way worse.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, luckily you've kept your job the whole time, but
I have, but there's, I'm still worried about it all the time.
of course, yeah. Well,
'Cause,
Stella's had to basically turn her store into a grocery store
Yeah.
in order to kind of get by.
We're in a
Ugh.
weird spot for sure, where it's like no one's talking this time about, when we open again.
Yeah.
No.
Like that's not even we were talking about that last time. No one's mentioning when we open again because
No.
now it's like we might not open again.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're-
Like because there's no word about it.
it's going to be bad.
It's just a new way of life.
That does seem to be the kind of like narrative that's pushed is like you just need to accept this.
Yep.
But the difficulty is, again, I still have a hard time with we have to keep our eyes on the ball as to what our targets are.
You said something very important, very impactful me. I didn't appreciate it at the time. But something you said is that if governing bodies and government are going to do such drastic things that drastically change our lives, the onus should be on them to prove that the measures they're taking that impact our lives so greatly actually make a difference.
Yes.
You said that to me, and at the time I was like, oh yeah, but no, that's actually a really great point.
Yeah.
If you're gonna come around here with your muddy boots and stomp through our freaking lives, blah 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 blah, you should probably prove to us that it's doing some good and show us.
But that's not a bureaucratic way of doing things.
No.
Canada has
bureaucratic ways
become
not-
the laughing stock of a lot of the world right
Yeah. Yeah, everybody talks about us like we're insane.
Yeah, well, and for good reason.
Well,
Like, we couldn't figure it out, and now we're in it longer than anyone.
Well, the main reason is because a good helping of our vaccines that were supposed to come here went to the States. They kept them. They kept millions of doses to service their population first. I can't fault them for that. We
Yeah.
should have been making our own. Like
Yeah.
our Edmonton, there's a facility in Edmonton
gotta
is
take
finally
care
on
of
its
your
way.
own first.
Yeah. Well, like the thing is, we could have put all of our money into that. We could have put our money into developing our own because we put a little bit, and then Edmonton now has had a breakthrough, and they're making one, and blah 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 blah. But what we decided to do was purchase. We decided to purchase others because they promised it to be here at a certain time. And so far, for all of our vaccine issues, they have failed to deliver on what they had promised. Which, fair, there's things that happen and blah, 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 blah. But as
Blah,
a
blah,
nation, we probably should look at doing things to also help our own population first rather than relying solely on our bigger brother down south to just be kind and get us our
Yeah.
stuff on the right.
Well, when we're in a time of scarcity, no one's worried about being kind.
No,
Right? What has been kind in the last year?
nothing.
Nothing.
free
It's
time.
been pretty painful.
Free time's been kind.
Yeah, I love free time on my own accord.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah,
not
this is-
like free
yes,
time.
exactly.
I don't like free time because it's not free.
When I had 2
That's at a
months
cost,
off-
and that cost
Fair.
is a fiscal cost to
when
me.
I had 2
Yeah.
months off, there was no 2-week period of that felt like a vacation that I would have booked at work.
No.
No, yeah, true. It's like,
Where
okay, yeah, you got time
the money
off.
in the bank
And,
that I
like,
planned to have.
I don't like, not to be like this guy, but like your finances and my finances are very different,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So like you can afford that far easier than I can
Yeah,
afford that.
yeah.
For me, I have to work a year in order to be able to service 3 weeks.
That's right. That's right.
And for you, that might be a month, and you could service 3 weeks off. Right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's difficult that like I want that time, but I want that time to be earned by me, not forced upon me by someone
Here's
else.
an example. If I wanted to scrimp, if I wanted to really like live on the bare minimum, I could do like the 5 days we just had from the announcement of the lockdown until Sunday night. If I did that 5 days once a month, that would totally service my
Yeah,
lifestyle.
100%.
Yeah.
That's a crazy way to live, but I completely understand.
Yeah,
There
I
are-
had a busy 5 days before the lockdown.
There are tattooers that do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get it.
Like,
Someday that's probably going to be my plan.
Yeah.
Work 2 weeks a month and then have 2 weeks to...
I have always been in the camp of I make more money than I need to, and then
Yeah.
I live whatever way I want to.
Well, and
Like-
that needs to always be your mindset. You always need to plan
I
to,
don't-
to live on less than you make.
Here's one thing that I hate
Yeah,
hearing.
I don't do that.
Boy, it
A lot
would
of
be
people
nice
don't.
if we could afford that. No, I can afford whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
I will buy what I want to.
Yeah.
And whatever that means for how much I have to work, that's what it means.
That's right.
I am not making concessions in my lifestyle. It's like it's not going to be like I want to work my life away, but
some people want $10 million houses and Lamborghinis.
yeah, I don't want that.
So
But-
a lot of people will always be behind the eight ball because no matter what they achieve, they won't be there. So they're going to spend their whole
Yeah,
lives
yeah, exactly.
chasing this ball that will never make them happy.
yeah,
if
of
you
course.
have realistic wants, there's no
That's right.
reason why you shouldn't be able to attain.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like I hate hearing, boy, I'd love to get a new tattoo, but I don't have any money.
Like if I walk
Yeah,
into
you just bought 4 shirts last week.
like if I walk into a decent department store, whatever that looks like to you, whether it's Home Depot or fucking Walmart or something, I don't give a fuck. If you walk in there with if I walk in there with $1,000 to blow right now, there's nothing I want. Like I
Yeah.
could buy a shirt and some groceries.
Yeah, but you got to remember that. So, like, you're talking in terms of something that, on average, most people don't understand.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
like, the idea of $1,000, like, it's, what was it, 40%, 50% of the population right now can't afford a surprise $200 bill.
Is that in the States?
No, that's Canada
That's
too.
Canada.
Yeah, we're
I
real
don't
bad
want
right
a
now.
surprise $200 bill, but I could certainly afford it.
Like, and that's on average. Like, I'm not terrible with my money, but I get nervous when I have to go register my cars every year.
Because of the parking tickets and
Because
stuff.
just because it's extra.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't
It's just
like
one of
dealing
those,
with
like,
that crap
the-
either.
You're gonna
When-
hate owning a house.
No, but like I'm not opposed to that understanding and things like that. But the thing is that we've structured our payments, this payment style life, to give you zero liquidity per month.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
It's like you have the death by 1,000 cuts kind
And-
of
and-
finances that seem to be so accepted by us.
So I watched how my parents lived, and since the age of like 13, I've seen that exact thing.
Yeah.
And I've decided from like a really young age to never ever be like that ever.
yeah, but nobody
so-
teaches you how to.
That's
You
right.
had to learn it.
Oh yeah, of course. But
Yeah.
through sheer determination of like, I just learned as a kid to just not spend the money. The best way to
Yeah.
have money is by just not spending it. Just put it in your pocket instead.
Just sit on it.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's it. And don't get me wrong, that's bad financial advice.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, that's not even good.
That's not a way to accrue money. That's a way
No.
to have it.
Yeah.
That was just my basic fundamentals of, oh man, I don't want to do that, so I'm never going to have debt, and here we go.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that my parents were, well, my father, my mother, and my stepdad have all been bankrupt before. My mother has been bankrupt twice, and she got
Wow.
in trouble with the government for working while on welfare while she was raising us. So I've seen all kinds of terrible debt in my time. And my parents, when I grew up and I moved out, they continued to borrow money from me up for the next
Wow.
5 years. They would ask me if I could
Wow.
loan them $500, etc. Sometimes I wouldn't even get the money back. And when my father died, he needed $6,000 from someone to get him through until he got his pension. And then he ended up dying before he got the money. So I ended up giving him this money to try and get him to live through. And I never got paid back.
Good Lord.
So when my father died, he owed me $6,000 that I never got back, and it screwed me up for years.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm still like a little bit screwed up from it. And not only that, but his debt collectors continue to harass me because I was the next of kin.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So my whole life was like, I probably should have been a complete failure. Like if I'm doing the math on like what I came from, and Dave and my other brothers too, should have probably been complete failures if you do the math on it. But I think there's two different ways you can go. You can either go into it or away from it.
Yeah.
Because like I was telling Sarah the other day, like if it's a really complicated thought to articulate, but if it weren't for the fact that I have like nostalgic feelings and societal norms governing that I stay connected to these people,
Yep.
I would probably never see my family again.
Yeah,
Any of
likely.
them. Like it's been nothing.
That's
but,
most people with most families.
but like I've come to the realization fairly early, like where my mom will get upset if we don't call her every now and then.
Yeah.
And that's because she feels like she can feel that. Like she can feel that we don't really need her or want her or whatever. And
Past her utility.
also there's guilt of knowing that she wasn't great. I don't even think it's her fault that she wasn't, because her
Probably not.
upbringing wasn't either.
Most parents are doing their best.
But like it's one of those things where like the other day on Mother's Day I called her and she was crying on the phone because her mom passed away, and she's just crying nonstop, and there's seemingly nothing I can say to her that that will help, and I don't even know how to talk to her anymore.
And suddenly
in a
you're
way.
resenting spending your time in this way because you're like, I don't feel useful here.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know what to say to you, and I'm kind of done with this.
Yeah.
Like I know you're my mom, but you've been crying for years about one thing after another.
Yeah.
Because like my son's mother died, my father died, her
You're like,
dad died.
You're also very familiar with death here.
Yeah, her dad died. Her mom just died this year. Like she's been in this grief cycle for years.
Yeah.
And it's just never going away. She's been off work on stress leave for years. Like she just keeps continuing the stress leave, and I'm just like, I've tried to tell her, you have to go back to work. You have to pick up your life and carry on. You're only 56 years old.
Humans don't function well when they're just hanging out
and
with no purpose.
And then Sarah will be, you're too gruff with her. Like you have to, and I'm like, I don't know how to baby my mother.
No, you're not supposed to.
Like, I don't know how to do this.
So the reason it gets to you is like you've had similar and you used it differently.
Yeah.
I think of trauma like fuel. And you can either let it fuel you to progress away from it, or you can let it fuel the descent into it. And your mom has fueled the descent into it, and you have fueled the descent out of the ascent out of it.
Well,
and it's really hard for you to see her knowing that you use the same or similar input information to go a different direction, so you know it's physically possible. So it's really hard for you to look at her with empathy going, well, but you have a route out.
But it becomes really, really conflicting for me, because then I start judging myself for not being sympathetic enough.
Of course. Yeah.
And then also, like, she pulls on that where it's like, she can't understand why it's not hurting me more.
Yeah.
That I'm not I'm not suffering more over these things.
Yeah.
And then it becomes that I'm heartless or something. And then I have to, she doesn't say that, but that's what's being communicated.
Yep.
And then I'm thinking to myself, am I a psychopath? Because I'm not hurt over this. Because her mom was only 71. She was very young when she had my mom. But she had gone completely senile. She had dementia. And all she would do is scream at people and forget who people were.
Yeah.
And like rage and fall down and just...
Yep.
She got sick with pneumonia and she just died. Like it was just dead. Before my mom could even get there, she was dead.
Yeah.
It was like, this is the sign that this person wanted to die. Like
Yeah.
she gave up on some level. When
Well,
her
there was
husband died.
probably no understanding of level
Right.
at that point in time,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Like there's no understanding of give up or try or any of that stuff, because like you're just at a place where you've devolved.
In contrast, I know a 90-year-old woman, my stepdad's mom, who is quick as a whip,
Yep.
vibrant, vigorous. She had 9 pies in the oven the last time I seen her. Like she's up every morning at 6. She's writing. She's calling people. She's got to go to the market. That woman's not going to die. If she gets sick, she's going to live. Like, that's the way I see it anyway. Whereas my mom's mom and her dementia and having her husband die and similar to my mom, she was a wallower. She just died like she was waiting to die. It was just like, please, somebody kill me. Like, it's a weird thing that happens.
I think you could probably, one day, we'll start to look at the idea of mental health and physical health being very closely tied.
I think so, too.
Because I think, like, there's a bunch of studies showing that mental stress, your body feels in a physical way. So if you are threatened with fear, your body reacts as though you were attacked in a physical way.
So I've been playing this game with my I have lots of old injuries that come back around again. I've got I have soft tissue issues. Soft tissue issue.
That sounds like the name of a podcast.
I've started playing this game recently where I observe my own behavior. And if I sit there and fucking worry about it and stress out that it's going to stop me from tattooing or some BS, it just gets worse and worse and another one pops up. If I just do the right stuff, get the right rest, the right ice, the right strengthening, the right exercise, and just like keep my eye on the prize, it just goes away. So
that would be the correct definition of self-care.
Yes, exactly.
We talked about this before. I'd rather get up and get at it when I'm miserable, or else I'm just going to get worse.
Whereas like this arm, so I did have a real soft tissue issue with it.
You really love that.
I do love that. I keep saying
that.
it by accident and surprising myself, right?
That sounds great.
That rhymed. Oh, look at me. So this one, like, it was kind of actually bad. But then I also spent so long worrying about it that it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. As soon as I like fixed my mentality and kept my regimen up, we're back in action, buddy. Yeah. We're at like 95% right now. I still have another month of doing the right stuff, and I should be 100%. That's
one of the reasons that I like talking to you about those types of things.
Yeah.
Because you're the type of person that puts those things into action.
And I'm an avid self-observer.
Yes.
Because I got my shit. You've seen a lot of my shit. But I'm an avid self-observer when I'm at my best and at my worst.
That's like the guy that I tattooed, Jesse. He and I always talk about that, where it's just like, it's weird for us to see people doing things like that are contrary to the information that they're getting.
That's right.
Now, granted, I don't do that in every way of my life by any stretch.
We all have blind spots.
Yeah, but like,
you can't be on top of everything.
But it's one of those things that once you start observing yourself, it kind of leads you to further and further try and unpack those types of things.
You create a pattern of whenever something is going on in your life that is impacting you.
You should. But there are people who get so far and then they're like, this is my line in the sand. I can't get past this. Right? Like, I can fix these surface level details, but these hard balls that I've been dealing with forever, those are really unmovable.
Well, but there's also a distinct inability for our society to help that.
Yes.
We are very bad with it. Even now, in terms of therapy, like, the main function of therapy is to
back in mental health chats.
Yeah, that's where this is a mental health.
We actually haven't done one of these in a while. I didn't think we'd end up here.
Oh, fair.
We got really into this type of stuff between like 15 and 25. It was always like Dr. Phil in here or something.
So
or Dr. Drew or something.
The idea being that like you go back and the therapist kind of helps you unpack the origins of things through you just talking it out. And then you get to a place of acceptance with it. So you go through your kind of grieving process of the fact that it happens, and then it's just like, okay, this is what happened, and I accept it, and I kind of move on with that understanding. Now, that means you move on with it. That does not mean you are healed from it. That does not mean it didn't happen. That doesn't mean that you get to be free of any of the things associated with it. And that takes years. Years and years and years. We don't have any type of intervention that's efficient at helping people address deep-rooted core issues to themselves that is legal currently. So that's one of the reasons
psychedelics.
It's one of the reasons that I'm so excited.
Psychedelics are the only way. I think they're just a shortcut.
Of course not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, so I'm talking specifically.
There are ways to induce mind frames similar.
Yes.
Well, and I think if someone's
breathing,
I think if
fasting,
someone's,
lots of things.
Exactly. I think if someone's determined, they can take a deep dive into themselves and learn themselves without the help of the substance.
It's just that substances can make it easier for
shortcut.
people who aren't as mentally
So the pharmacology
focused.
part that they're looking for in the MDMA therapy specifically, because everything else seems to be like, hey, you have a trip, have fun. We'll talk about it afterwards.
Yeah.
MDMA is therapy whilst under the influence
Yeah.
of MDMA. And the reason being is because...
it shines a positive light on every little thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that. So you have the empathogen side of MDMA,
Yeah.
which means that when you're talking about yourself, you view yourself with empathy.
Okay.
But the other side of it is that you lay down, or whatever the function of the MDMA is that it helps you put down barriers that would normally be built up, that the therapist would normally have to spend years
you
helping
lower
you
your
pick
guard.
down each one.
Yeah.
So if you have no guard up,
Well, your
and
defensiveness is gone when you're like, no, I love me even though I do this. And now that I'm looking at it, I can see that I do this out of an unhealthy place, but I still love me anyway. So
Yeah.
I can talk about that right now
Yeah.
because I'm not defending that with my life because I might lose myself if we get to this weakness.
Yeah, and you get that bonding experience from the chemical too. So you're looking at that person who's therapizing you with love and brotherhood, and like as though you've been through war together.
Well, when you're on MDMA, you already feel like everything's reflecting love back at you. So
Yes.
you're feeling love from them, which
Yeah.
makes it easy to let them in.
Yeah, so that's something that that's 20 years of therapy in a dose.
I want. Can we just get
Here's
high on
what
MDMA
I
and
like in
therapize each other
MDMA.
in an
Probably.
episode?
Yeah,
MDMA is like
I also think it'd be super risky.
the
Like,
feeling
if you're not trained in it, I think it would be terrifyingly risky.
I don't
the
think-
feeling
I-
you get from Molly, as they call it, is
The kids these days.
Yeah, is I've had my ex-fiance used to say that when we got together, because we were together twice, the second time she felt like being with me was like being on Molly, because
Wow.
it was like this extreme ecstasy feeling of just this person knows me so well and won't judge me
Yeah.
and knows the evil that I'm capable of and loves me anyway despite all the damage we've done. There is no judgment here.
That is extreme relationships, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the same.
Toxic, but-
Well, it's toxic in a way because it
Indulgence.
usually stays there.
Yeah.
Right. That's like you're constantly in battle, so you're constantly getting the bonding experiences of the battle. But the thing is like wars are supposed to end.
See, but like this
They're
is
supposed to
this
be
is,
in peacetime.
This isn't me saying this though. This is her having done it. Like she had done MDMA.
Yep.
And she talked about how incredible it was for her. But then she was using that chemical reaction and applying it to our relationship. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking back on it referentially, like that's kind of scary.
I don't think it's scary. I think
Because
it's
like
acknowledging.
although I loved that relationship for what it was, even though it's ended terribly
Yeah.
twice, it informed me to be a better person in the end. But that relationship wasn't good.
No.
That first couple months falling in love with somebody, even if it's again, can feel very similar to the MDMA thing, though.
Well, it's the same chemicals.
Yeah.
Like we can't escape the fact that we're a
This
bunch
is
of
what
chemicals.
I'm saying. This is how I'm working it back to my original, or what I said earlier about how drug reaction or drugs, the reaction we have to taking them, we can get those feelings from other things.
Of course.
The chemicals are already in our brain. We're
Yeah.
just taking things to induce the production or change the reception of those
Yeah.
chemicals.
And sometimes those feelings are better off coming from an independent source.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's better that a person isn't giving you that feeling, I think,
Oh.
a substance is. Because then you remove that person, and we know that people can leave.
At the
So-
same time, you take MDMA, you get a lot of feelings, and you point them at somebody typically,
Yeah.
and then you can still leave. That person can still leave.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If anything,
Fair.
then your bond is deeper, and then the leaving is harder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but the thing is, all the normal things that you're talking about in terms of how to get those things, like, you can't separate having those experiences from the situations that trigger your brain to release those things, right? Like, my guess is for her, there was years of not being able to open up to anyone, not being
Yeah.
able to honestly be herself, and fear of judgment and things like that. And what she found in you at the time was someone that basically could take her abuse and still be there.
Yeah.
And she could finally start to be a portion of herself that is normally kept in the dark.
Yeah, yeah.
And all of that stuff is like those are triggers for your brain to release all those
And
chemicals,
those can
right?
be really healthy.
The guy that
having someone that doesn't make you defensive and scared to express yourself around is like, that's one of the most important steps and building blocks to learning yourself.
Yes.
It's a really funny thing because like I really got to explore this a little further in that what you just said about being yourself. It's like we had an overabundance of that,
Yeah.
where we were too much ourselves
for sure.
around one another, where it was like it was too honest and too real. That's crazy to say because like there should be some amount of pretense, because if there isn't, it becomes primal. Like it was very primal, and just we were very similar on some things, and then we would indulge in those things, but when you would get to the things that you disagreed on, it became like a betrayal.
Yeah, of course. It was the
like-
same
I
thing.
see.
How are you not understanding this?
No, it's the
You
same
know
chemical, right?
I'm right. We're always in the same spot. How are you in a different spot? And then it became a huge fucking problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Those are those. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
With the way that chemical reaction would be happening, of course.
It was weird. But like she had been with before, because the way our second relationship started was like our first one, where she was with a guy and she left them for me.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how both of our relationships started. I was the other man twice with that girl. And I was always like the release valve for her, because the people that she was with wouldn't put up with her essence the way she was, or I indulged in it.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoyed her for how she was, where everyone else was like, you shouldn't be like that. That's bad.
Yeah.
And so then it was like, oh, this guy loves me for who I am.
Yeah.
Where this guy doesn't. He wants
That's
me
an
to change.
intoxicating feeling.
Well, and
because-
technically, that's you're enabling.
Yeah,
that
I was
side of her, right?
But
But I
also
didn't.
giving her
I
self-esteem.
legitimately didn't dislike those parts of her.
No, of course.
Well, and that in itself gives her self-esteem, and that's one of the things. That's one of the things releasing chemicals in her mind is she's feeling real, authentic self-esteem and acceptance that's coming from you. So sure, the feelings are directed at you, but part of the reason those chemicals are being released is because inside her head something else is happening. She's respecting herself.
But it was a little bit insincere, and I want to get a little bit into that because I think it's
Okay.
interesting. Is that like I had to step back and assess myself at some point and realize that a lot of my messaging that this is okay to be this way was just to get what I wanted.
yeah, of course.
Oh, fair.
And I didn't.
That's why I was
wasn't
saying enabling.
conscious.
That was,
I wasn't consciously doing that.
No, of course not.
But like, I did that with some other women too, because I would always get that when I was single and I would be flirtatious with other women. It was always in that vein of acceptance of just about everything, and because I really do believe that you should just be yourself.
Yes.
Well,
Right? Like, and I manifest that. So when I'm communicating that to women, they're taking that as I agree with everything that they're doing. Where really what it is I don't necessarily agree, but I
Yeah.
would accept
I think
it.
that's a bad idea, but I accept that you're into it.
Exactly. But
Think about the concept of your truth. Like we've talked about this before, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that whole idea of like, so whatever side of you is, that's good.
yeah.
And
You're like, I
you
don't
just keep
personally
leaning
think
into
you're
it.
right, but it's cool that you got a plan.
But
Yeah.
when you're in the early stages of love, any agreeing at all seems great.
Yeah, of
Right.
course.
So
Positive.
I was like, I really got to stop doing this because
Yeah.
what I'm communicating is a little insincere.
Yeah.
And it's going to end up crumbling at some point,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because this big loving embrace of be you, no matter what that is not necessarily built on a solid foundation.
No,
I think
no.
the best form of, like, especially when we're talking romantic relationship, I think the best form of acceptance also comes with a bit of, hey, but we also have an expected level of behavior toward each other. You know, it's like in your lowest spot, sure, express yourself as you feel, but 99% of the time, I kind of expect a certain level of behavior. If you're pissed, if you're stressed, if you're whatever, it's still kind of good to have a kind of standard for, well, no, this is still how we treat each other. This is still how we share our space. This is still, you know, it's still good to have a basic outline of how you treat that, or how that partner treats you and how you treat them.
I found it
and that goes out the
easier-
window sometimes when people are like, nope, I'm going to do exactly what I say and think all the time, and here we go.
I found it easier to do that with friendships than
Yeah.
partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have had some really great friends over the years.
Uh-huh.
Like, really, really close friends. I had the guy I mentioned earlier that I moved out with.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't finish up on that. He was like a brother to me for quite a while. But there were moments that I figured out through his actions that we were polar opposites in a way that I couldn't stand for anymore.
Okay.
Like, for a long
I've had a
time,
couple
I
of those
liked
over the years.
I liked the idea of being opposite from him, where I would be the guy who would stay with a girl through horrible things. He would be the guy who would fuck off and leave.
Yeah.
That was fine with me until he ended up doing something that wasn't okay anymore for me. Right? Once he crossed a line, then it was like very easy for me to go, I don't need this.
Well, now it's a
character in my
values
life.
call.
But if he had been my lover and he had have done something like that, I might have needed him more and forgave him for it.
Shit.
You know
That's
what I mean?
freaky, yeah.
Because like that line was easy for me to check him out.
Yeah.
But if he had have been fulfilling a more significant role in my life, like my partner, then I might have been okay with keeping him on.
Crazy.
Like, you know
Yeah,
what
I mean, everybody's got their own line, though. You know what I mean? Like, it would just be a different line. You know what I mean? Like, you might see it as like, oh, that would have been...
The particulars, so I was seeing a girl, and he had been with her prior, many years ago. This is when I was like 23. And after her and I split up, because we were only together for a few months, and it was a really volatile relationship. It was the first relationship I had after my ex-fiance the first time.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of anger, and she was coming out of a
And
similar
she's probably one of your
relationship.
first couple of girls you even slept with.
Yeah, first handful.
Yeah.
And anyway, we had a really terrible relationship, but it was like really hot and cold again. And I found out in the aftermath that while I was with this girl, my best friend had slept with her at some point. And he admitted it to me. She didn't say anything about it. He told me because he felt guilty. And I would never do that move.
Yeah.
And it was a bridge too far for me. And I said to him, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed. And then he would text me here and there, and I would give him flat responses, and we drifted apart more and more as the years went on. And finally this guy messages me, and he's got this big long like 4-paragraph message about how sorry he is and how much he respects me and how he's always looked up to me, and he feels like he ruined a long friendship, and he's never had the heart to tell me how he felt about it. And I just didn't respond.
No, so that doesn't go very far for you for reconciliation?
It's not even that. It did. That was a heartfelt
Yeah, of course.
message, and I appreciated it, but I didn't know what to say to it, much like I don't know what to say to my mother. Only I don't need to pretend with him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I need to pretend with my mother
Yep.
for all kinds of reasons.
We arced back around here.
For him, yeah. Well, I know this is it all makes sense to me, but for him, that was far enough. Like that was like,
Man, if we're gonna tell stories of shitty friends and crazy exes, we can have a 9-hour podcast.
well, we
guys.
could. But to finish this up is, I didn't respond to that message, and then I recently realized that he took me off his Facebook.
Ooh.
But that's perfectly fine by me, because when I didn't respond to that was me already declaring to him that this friendship that we had, while important at one point, has run its course long since.
She done.
We don't need to have this anymore. Like, some friendships are here for a time. They help you through a moment. They instruct you in some way, but they do have a duration. And he and I don't need to speak ever again. There's nothing more valuable I can garner from that relationship.
So my curiosity would be, was that message for you or was that message
I think
for
it was
him?
for him.
Yeah. And that's for most people in most situations, that they're uncomfortable with
Because it
their...
was years later.
Like, that's his shadow self, right? Like, that's his potential for bad, and he doesn't like feeling like he has potential for bad, so he has to do something good.
Well, I was there to counsel that potential for bad for years until it interacted with me.
Yeah.
Right? When he would tell me stuff like that about him with other people, it was like, I could talk you through this, I can help you out with this. But once it crossed the line into my life, it was like, now it's too close to home.
Yeah.
And now all of your bad behaviors have become unacceptable.
There's a really hard thing about that side of life. And I mean, like, that, you know, not to get all too Jungian about it, but like, we all need to kind of get our heads around the fact that we can do bad things and not feel bad about them.
Oh, we need to learn how to forgive ourselves. Especially, we spend so much of our lives beating ourselves up about bad things we did that weren't actually bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The time we said that one line to somebody that might have come across the wrong way, but we're not sure how they took it, so we're sitting here ruminating on the damn thing.
I want to be clear that I don't want him to be suffering over this.
Oh, no.
I'm just done with him. Like,
Yeah.
he and I don't need to be entangled at all anymore. But that doesn't mean I want him to suffer.
Here would be my question around it. So he did this thing. For him, he doesn't feel bad about it. The experience. What he feels bad about it is the effect that thing has had on you.
Yeah, big time.
Right?
Yeah.
But the actual thing he has no guilt around.
Mm-hmm.
Which is where his brain can't go around. Like,
But the only reason he would feel bad about the thing is because how it would affect Remy.
yeah, it's his reaction to it, right?
If Remy,
if he had gone like, whatever, man, who cares? I'm done.
Or if there was something if there was something
Then he'd be like, oh, okay, everything's great.
if there's something in the situation, if Remy and her had an open relationship, or if for some reason it just wouldn't affect Remy negatively, then that act was never bad.
Yeah, but his act
Right?
got a consequence, and what he's unhappy
That's
about
right.
is the consequence.
Of course, yeah.
But this is the difficulty, right? Because it's like, he's not mad about the act,
No.
right? Like, there's certain things that you'll do in your life that you're disappointed with yourself for doing, and they had no negative effect. It was just because you know you did it,
Yeah.
and you're unhappy about the fact that happened.
Yeah.
And then there's stuff where it's like, well, I don't understand the consequence that came from this thing that I feel okay about.
See, when
Well, but
he
it's-
told me, I didn't think of it as, oh, he's coming to me and he's being honest. Good for him.
No.
I felt he thought she's gonna tell him, and then he's gonna be even madder at me. Right? He's almost like a get out of jail kind of.
So
I'm
now-
being the good guy and doing this.
To take this to the next level, is there any onus on you to respond back to his 4-paragraph text message and release him from his shackles of guilt somehow?
No.
I already feel like I've done what he needs.
Yeah.
And my last response to him was my last real interaction with him, because we had some passing like, "Hey, how are you?"
Yeah, yeah.
When he would message me. I never messaged him again to start anything again after.
And he's not someone you'd ever bump into in public.
I
or
bumped
anything.
into him.
Okay.
And it would be a, "Hey, how's it going?" But like the last real interaction I had with him was when I told him I was disappointed in him.
Yeah.
And that had a heavy weight on him.
Well, because you were
my word carried a lot to him.
you were his sounding board of like, you're fine, right?
Yeah.
For all past transgressions,
Yeah.
up until a point. So he had earned this way of being with you, which is just like, okay, so I tell Remy that I've done something bad, and he tells me it's all right, man. It's
Pretty
gonna
much.
be okay.
I was
And then-
that shoulder for a lot of
Yeah.
people. at
And he
one
just
point.
kept doing it. And then all of a sudden it was like one of those things is now out of Congress with the previous history of it. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what? What did I do? What's happening? Because like there's this disconnect in his ability to see those situations as wrong, because in the past they've all been right.
Well,
You've
and
told them that they were right for years.
we had this similar background where I feel like he could have ended up being me and I could have ended up being him based on past.
Yep.
And so I always found our dynamic particularly interesting, where it was like I was seeing myself from the other side and how
Yeah.
he maneuvered about life.
Fair.
And I could get to a place where I would be doing the same thing. Right.
You were using it to inform yourself.
Yeah, I was learning from him a lot. And then finally when I said I was disappointed in him, I think he would have preferred I was angry at him.
Yes.
But what I understood was that he failed against his own nature. right? He lost a battle against his own nature, and it was nothing to do with me at all. It had nothing to do with me. He didn't do that to get me.
Most people's anything
Yeah.
has nothing to do
Exactly. But I think he would have preferred if I had taken it that way.
with us. Of course.
Because then it would have been easier for him to brawl with me. Where I was already past it, thinking, and I mean it, I was already just beyond her. I knew that that was a rebound in my mind at that time, and that it was destructive and terrible for everything in my life. And that's just one more horrible thing that it took away.
Yeah.
This I was already kind of moving away from him, and then when that happened, it was like, yeah, this is who you are, and you won't be better than this. This is not about better or worse. This is who you are.
Yeah.
Right? This is what you do. And until you get to a point where you face yourself and make a change, you're going to fuck up all of your relationships somehow.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to do this to everyone somehow in your life until you're done doing this to yourself.
Well, and like, so he'll need to come to terms where he can see himself.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times we just have a hard time seeing ourselves honestly. But then all of a sudden, when people in our world that we care about start seeing that person honestly, and then it affects them, then it's like you're drifting closer and closer and closer to staring at the mirror. And that we all need to do that. We all need to look at the mirror and kind of go like, oh man, I can do a lot of bad things and I can do a lot of good things, and I'm going to try and work on mainly doing things that I know to be good.
So to answer your question, is the onus on me to release him? I think I did long before he was ready for it, and him sending me that message was an acknowledgement of that. Like it was like it was 4 or 5 years later that he finally had put those pieces together and gone, oh shit.
Good.
Right. And
you know,
I think
hopefully that means he's better off today.
I don't know. I think what it meant to me in that moment was maybe he's starting to figure shit out.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but I'm not willing to get back into the ring with him either.
No, and you don't
Like,
have to.
So I'm doing my own
there's
thing.
no longer a gap in your life that makes sense for him to fill.
And there's a lot of those friendships for me. I've had all kinds of those where it's like, this made sense when I was this age and doing this thing, but it doesn't make sense now.
Yeah.
Like, there's no point in me, other than for nostalgic reasons, going back to those places, right? And that's how I've started to look at my whole family life, too. Other than my little brother, because I've been like a father to him. But the other ones, everyone else, it's just like, oh, I'll see you at Easter. You know, I'll see you at Thanksgiving. We're doing this for Mom because Mom has nothing to live for but this.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Yeah.
You say it so bleakly, too.
It's so sad, though. Like, it breaks my heart in some sense.
But that's a way of looking at it. It's not
Well,
necessarily
it makes
the only way
Sarah
of looking at it.
uncomfortable when I talk about
would
it.
assume
because
so.
she's very attached to her family.
Yeah.
Right? But she can't get to the way that my life has been. Like, I can't make it make sense for even you guys, but my family life has always been very fractured. We're not even from here.
Yeah.
So my mom, when her mother was dying, it was like, why doesn't anyone care that your grandmother's dying? Well, we don't know Grandma. We've barely spoken to her, and when we do speak to her, she doesn't even know where she is. So it's hard for us to care that much about Grandma.
Yeah.
Right? Grandma, to me, is the woman who made Kraft dinner with Cheese Whiz. Right? That's who Grandma is.
Man,
That's a freaky grandma.
I had that. Oof. My grandpa made it that way. I don't understand it.
Yeah, like,
He just
I don't
loved
know
Cheese
these
Whiz
people.
for some reason.
You can call
Loved
them my
it.
family,
Is that
but I
stuff still
don't
for
know
sale?
them.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Cheese Whiz is still for sale.
Yeah, of course.
That's incredible.
Cheese flavored mayonnaise.
Sure.
Wow. That's something
Yeah,
else.
you can call them family, but if you don't know them, that's not family.
Cheese
you can't-
Whiz?
Yeah, I mean,
I love that it's real.
that story can get painted in a number of different ways. But for you, your reality of it is as kind of cold as it can be, right? Because like realistically, the warm and fuzzies are not there.
No.
Like if anything, you can maybe get them for your son.
Yeah, I
Like,
have
you know
them
what I
for
mean?
my unit. I said
Yeah.
to Sarah the other day,
Even
I'm
with
really,
interactions with grandma and things like that, like he can develop that. But for you, it's like
he does. He's
Yeah.
really the best reason for me to stay involved is because my stepdad and my mom are great for Ivan.
yeah,
They're not great for me.
yeah,
Like, they can't be. It's never been good. I have reconciled things with my stepdad, and I respect him for what he did. But, like, I don't have a real strong feeling of care for any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And if it weren't for obligation, I would probably never see them ever again. Not because I can't stand seeing them, but just I don't have the inclination to visit. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't ever seem like a pressing priority.
Yeah. Well, that's something that's usually cultivated, right?
Yeah.
And that hasn't been. So, like, what you probably see is the societal version of it.
Yeah.
Like, society tells you should do these things, so it's like, well, I guess I should. Well, that's why we have, Mother's Day and Father's Day.
I'm just now at a place where I could admit this. Because I wouldn't have said this a year ago.
Yeah.
Like, I was toying with the idea that I was coming to this point. Like, I was getting to that edge of, I don't really care for these people the way I should. Like, this is not good.
It's
I
hard
need
to
to
admit it to
fix
yourself.
this.
It's
Why can't I care more about this?
the road to this was paved.
Yeah.
Like, it's already done. And
Yeah,
it's just
this vehicle's on
seeing it,
tracks.
right? Yeah.
But then I wonder if I should try and fix it.
Well, now that you come to terms with it and accepted it and realized what you need or don't need from these people, you can work on the areas that you want to facilitate and want to make better with information and with wisdom, because you've been able to look at it plainly and honestly. That's one of those things that it's like the acceptance part that they talk about. The acceptance is in, like, okay, now that I know this, I can move on in a direction that I think would be wise.
Right.
Because, like, if you want to stay in that place, you're more than welcome to. That's where you are, and that's what you've known for a long time. But if you want to progress towards them with information, as in you understand exactly who they are, you understand exactly what you're going to get from them, and you're going to interact with them and build around those things. Or with knowledge of those things. It's kind of like, you're building a city where there's a fault line.
Yeah.
It's like, we get that this is here, and we're going to put things in place so that nothing falls over, but we get that this thing's here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That kind of, like, understanding of your environment. Because, like, if you can just accept it. Yeah. Like, I mean, I've had to come to similar things with my family. My family has their own things, and I'm watching my brother go through it with my parents currently, and just watching it going like, yep, I did, yep, okay, I see it, and I have to put my own boundaries in for both sides of them, because I know now I've come to terms with that they're at the place that they're at.
Yeah.
And I can kind of pursue what I feel is safe for myself in it.
I always feel like Dave has perfected the model. Like, he knows how to handle her, where it's almost like he's talking to a child.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
And I don't...
I've only seen it once or twice, but...
I just, like... When he does that, I'm like, who is this good for? Is it really good for her? Or she's just...
I don't know if it's necessarily good for her, but it's an acknowledgement of where she's at.
Because I'll talk to my mom like she's a human being, because, like, I'll have a conversation with her like I would have here.
Yeah.
Because she used to be able to have those conversations, and she was very, very honest.
I see, yeah.
And then she crumbles.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all of a sudden she'll be crumbling and receding, and Sarah will be like, you have to be softer to her, because she's... And I'm like, no, she's an intelligent woman.
Yeah.
Like, and we used to be able to have these conversations, and now we can't. And it's... I shouldn't need to baby this woman.
Well, but that's the way that most people's language is drifting. And it's encouraged, again, this is the societal encouragement of everyone around you tells you that you're supposed to treat everyone softer, right? Like the idea of tough love is getting to be more and more sounding like harassment.
And moms need a little more softness over time. When I first left the church, I could be a little more real with my mom. And now it's been a decade since then. Now I got to put the kid gloves back on and really like kind of tiptoe around and not get too serious with my actual beliefs and actual views on things. She just can't handle that, and it's just...
I hope I never get that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I really hope that I can always take...
Oh, goodness.
Like, I could always sit here and have somebody tell me a hard truth without crumbling.
It's a practiced skill, right?
True.
Like, you don't get any of these behaviors without learning them over time. Like your mom crying at the drop of a hat is a learned behavior.
Right.
Like this is not innately built into her. This is reinforced with her. We all have the aspects of these individual responses that we can do, and some of them get nurtured and some of them die. And it's like
yes, but also menopause.
Yeah, of course.
That's been
that changes a woman's emotions quite a lot at that age.
Of course.
Like my mom is probably going, like my mom is just probably only a year older than yours, and you can see her emotions, not her emotional intelligence, but the presence of them in her life. They do change things a bit, and crying more, having a more emotional reaction to things, being less.
I would be okay with the tears.
Yeah.
If I could do anything with them.
Right.
Other than be an audience to them. And I'm not good at standing by for that anymore.
Yeah.
Like Lee posted a story the other day that was like bang on for me, because he said, or it said in there, and I could imagine Lee saying something like this right now even, I only want to hear about your problems once, and then I want to start hearing solutions.
Yeah.
And that's like, I'm not saying only once, but like you can't do nothing but complain.
That's right.
You got to sometimes stand up.
But this is,
you gotta come with a plan.
But this is not the way that our culture talks.
Yeah.
Currently.
My mom's very solution oriented. You talk to her, if she's got some issues, she's got a freaking plan.
And that's a good mindset to keep.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
And then all of a sudden it's like your emotions are, because emotions aren't something that you should repress either. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be crying when you feel
this
like you should cry.
This podcast right now is an example of that. We're expressing.
Yeah.
But it's not defeatist.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Like I'm a big proponent of leaning into emotions when emotions need to happen. Big proponent of it.
Yeah.
I force myself to do it. But what I'm saying is that they come with handcuffs at times. And you either lean into it and you keep going down deeper and deeper. That was my depression. Like depression is one of those things that it's a very tempting, like a mermaid tempting you to go deeper into the water.
Yeah.
Like it's just like you.
Well, actually, as an example of this, you've seen me go through some giant life changes in the last few months here.
Yeah.
Well, in the last year. In the last year and a little bit that you've known me, you've seen me go through a crazy roller coaster of things. You've seen me have days where I'm chill, I'm on fire, I'm hanging. You've seen me have days where I'm kind of riled up and testy the whole fucking day. And at the end of the day, usually I'm like, hey, Kev, I know I'm hardcore today. Just, I'll be there.
I've even seen your moods can be a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not in a bad way, but.
Well, no, usually I handle it okay. Yeah. Sometimes I'm a bit shitty to some people, but usually I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm going through some stuff. It's mostly great, but it comes with this emotional roller coaster, and I'm like working through it. Here we go.
Yeah. And I guess that's kind of what I'm meaning is like acknowledging but not using it as a thing to hold you where you are.
Well, see, I'm on the other end of the spectrum where I don't really talk about those actual emotions and processes so much. So people tend to, like a lot of people assume that I'm just like kind of burying it all or hiding it all in the chest. I'm like, no, I'm feeling it out, but I'm not super there to talk about exactly what I'm feeling. You're just going to see some of the weird side effects of how my behavior is that day.
Yeah.
Because I'm a little bit here or wherever.
Yeah, I am the opposite. I've been having to work to try and make it so I can actually let whatever the feeling is out.
Yeah.
It's taken me a very long time, and that's all like my upbringing of religion, repression, and all those
there are
things.
days where you just look tired, and I'm like, I can tell that there's something complicated going on inside his mind, and he just can't work through it right now. So he's just Kev, just kinda.
I'm here.
I'm going to make it through and figure the rest out later.
Yeah, because I need space and I need time to do that. Like I need to give myself. I think of it kind of like a bomb test site or something like that. Like nobody can be around. I'm sorry. It's just I need to let off gas this on my own because I don't want to injure anyone else. In the process,
especially when you know it's your own shit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you go on an overnight alone camping trip?
Yeah,
have you ever gone camping alone?
No,
it's not a thing that happens often. It's worth it.
Next week, where's Kevin? Oh, he got eaten by a bear.
I would be that guy that died.
No,
I'd be that guy. He got lost. He wandered into a canyon, and he's dead.
because I'll warn you now. That
They'll
first,
find him in a few weeks.
The first time you're in the middle of nowhere, sitting around a campfire alone, you're almost like kind of awkward. You're like,
Yeah.
am I a loser? What's happening here? Am I some loner with no friends? And then slowly you're like, no, the point of this is for me to just sit here
Yeah.
Can't
and be alone with myself with no like house full of clutter and TVs to distract me.
Yeah.
I'm just meant to fucking sit here and enjoy my time with myself.
Yeah.
So I recommend it. It's,
A buddy of mine did that. There's this guy I know in Nashville. He was, anyways, he had gone through this traumatic thing of like ending a relationship with his fiance or something like that. It was a big mess. And yeah, he did exactly that. He went
Yeah.
out. He went out. He like took a gun, which worried everybody, but it was just in case just in
Whenever
case he
you
needed
go out
to.
on your own and
But
take
it was
a gun.
it was Nashville. Everybody had guns all
That's
the time.
right, yeah.
But you took a gun out there. You took a bit of food.
It's a bit like
and-
your wallet.
Yeah.
Where's your gun? You can't leave without your gun. Are you crazy?
Yeah. And he went out to camp for a couple weeks by himself, and he said it was like it was exactly what he needed to do because
you
it was
can
like
reset your
isolationism.
life in 2 weeks
Yeah.
alone. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've
But
never done it.
I also think that that's like you're forcing yourself to deal with yourself, and I
Yeah.
think that's very healthy. And I think we have too many escapes.
We sure frickin' do.
To focus on ourselves, and I think that's one of the reasons that I'm a proponent of the psychedelic intervention because we don't have. It's kind of like when you're going on a diet and every restaurant around you serves not your diet.
Yeah.
Right. And
Very hard to find proper food.
if you're trying to be mentally healthy, the world is not set up to be mentally healthy.
Yeah.
So it's really hard if you're trying to drift towards those things, if you have this cell phone in your hand or this billboard around you or this TV or this Wi-Fi or whatever,
Yeah.
you have all of these little stimulus that can work their way into you
Yeah.
to keep you distracted from dealing with yourself. And that's why I think like psychedelics kind of just force
Do
you to sit there and deal with
Do
it.
you ever get to the point where you think maybe that's on purpose?
No.
You don't think so?
I am, because I came from a world of mysticism, so I think that there
Yeah.
is almost nothing mystical about anything anymore. Anytime somebody gives me a mythical reason for anything, I go, yeah, I did that
Conspiratorial,
once. Sweet.
It's because the
They're
stars
trying
are
to
going
keep
around
you-
here,
they're
and the
trying
thing
to
is
keep
there.
you busy so that
Yeah, mythical intent, like you can break it down to logic far easier than you like. I go with Occam's razor for almost anything. Anytime somebody tries to give me some mystical, bigger explanation,
There's a
some
great-
deification of it, I
there's
go
a great
nope.
quote. I always get it wrong, but it's something to the effect of never attribute to malice what you contribute to ignorance. So
Yep.
Just it happened unintentionally.
Yes,
Right?
that's a
Just-
majority of things.
It's just happening because.
I'm such a chaos theory person, and I have some people in my life who are very like, no, everything's causality. Everything is the universal, the solar forces enacting on this, and there's this whole consciousness and the order of planets that have intentionally done.
I don't know about any of that.
Oh yeah, no, of course.
Yeah. I think the universe is monstrously indifferent to all of us.
Right? Exactly. We're just monkeys.
Monstrously.
Yeah.
We're monkeys on a frickin' rock.
The only thing I will say to that is that the universe in itself, the way that it's set up, is super clever and it's super intricate. And I think
No,
our
you're
ability,
clever and
I think
intricate.
our ability to observe it is one of the things that makes us. It's that kind of God in the clouds.
What a
concept.
pleasure it is to exist and at the same time know it.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and pleasure and a terror at the exact same time because it creates a lot of things around that.
It's only a terror when you're afraid of death.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Once you let go of that fear of death, it is something incredible. If you look at the animal kingdom, they exist, they are aware, but for them to stop and reflect on the fact that I exist, I am, I think that's beyond their capabilities. We have the capability to stop and go, I exist and I will not exist. I have a finite period of experience and I get to bask in that, in the positives and negatives that come with that.
Yeah.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah, I am right
Yeah.
now.
You know, thank God.
Yeah.
'Cause for me, if you want to find a way to put me in some kind of a hell after life, tell me it never ends. right? Tell me this never ends.
I'm still polar opposite from you on this one.
I know.
I will be so stoked if there's an afterlife. I will be so fucking stoked.
But what I mean to say is, I want to die at some point. I don't want to live here forever. I don't want to do this forever.
I'm
This
too
stance,
curious.
no.
I'm too curious what happens to humans. I would like to keep on living. I want to see what happens.
So
You can have my
Fair.
last
I don't-
100 years.
I don't need to live past full human extinction, but I would like to be there until the last other Homo sapien dies.
To be
I
fair,
am so fucking curious.
to be fair, particles of you will.
That's not what I mean. I mean experiential existence.
Nope, you only get that.
I know. Very aware
Sorry, bro.
of my own death.
Like the thing that I would be most intrigued by is when they start talking about this multiple dimension thing that seems to be coming around, which
The
also,
multiverse.
well, so that's looking less and less like it's a thing. But the idea that so
I'm intentionally not reading science in the multiverse because I at the same time hope it's not real and
Junk
hope it
science.
is super real.
the
Anyway, go ahead.
multiverse thing. So like right now with the last discovery that they had, the clearest direction is that it's just traditional particle physics.
Okay.
Multiverse is probably not they haven't found what they were looking for in
It
order to get
sounds
to that.
absurd that there could be a material mirrored plane.
Or unending mirrored material planes. Like, that's the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
thing.
not
Like,
just one.
The idea of that every time you have a quantum event, you've created a new one. Like all that stuff is just
so
like
that
that's another.
We're now
mythical-
entering the
mythical
dark
description,
show.
right?
That
Territory.
multiverse I don't adhere to. The multiverse that I've heard better arguments for is kind of the
Flat Earth version of it.
It's like
It's just another disc.
alt-right Santa flying. Alt-right Santa flying.
Yeah,
a sleigh on the
alt-right Santa's
circumference of
coming
the
back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the only multiverse concept I've heard that has any like weight that I can actually get behind at all is the infinite universe theory, which is kind of like the same theory as unlimited monkeys, unlimited typewriters produce a work of Shakespeare and every other text known to man, right? So basically the multiverse theories that have any credo are the ones where, hey, if the universe is unlimited in expanse, then there must be more planets just like Earth under the exact same circumstances with other people just like you and I branching off. So in a truly unlimited universe, the multiverse theory works, except they're divided by space, not dimension.
Okay. So, what if rather than by space, it was by time?
Go on.
So, say, because we experience time in a very linear fashion, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this infinite universe mentality, if
Theory.
time is the function that is in the effect, so like, say you've got this mirrored planet, but time is being experienced
By time,
separately.
are you saying causalities?
No, I'm saying that like the idea that the same thing is happening exactly the same is probably false if the universe is expanding.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But the idea that that galaxies are being created that are similar, planets that are being created that are similar, and in the event of time, in their own experience of it, may be another parallel to us. Does that make sense? So
In
like
a truly
4 billion years ago, we were a little tiny molten ball, right?
Yeah.
Now we're here. And then in 4 billion years from now, we're going to probably be swallowed up by our sun.
Oh my God!
In that 8 billion year span, somewhere else at the newer edge of this universe may be happening the exact same thing at day one. But who knows?
That's easier to believe than it happening simultaneously.
100%.
However,
because
so
that
again, I
means that time is because we are experiencing time, right?
Yeah.
But time is a force in this respect, and our experience of time is only in relation to gravity. So why would our experience of linear time?
Oh
be
man,
the
you're
thing that-
getting into my exact view on aliens.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a better
because-
theory on it.
Hey,
personally,
I want to
for-
say we haven't done much on aliens.
Because
Yeah, I
for
know.
aliens, I've got lots of thoughts on aliens. Because I've always been a denier. Like all of these UFO things, all of the
of
Area
course,
51
because
crap,
that would disprove our previous beliefs.
I've been an aggressive denier.
not
So are
necessarily
you still an
disprove, but-
aggressive denier?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
And part of the reason is because if another intelligent spacefaring species from a different planet, galaxy, solar system, whatever, managed to make their way here, what are the chances it would be in the same time frame as a modern intelligent Homo sapiens
Using
species?
time again.
I just don't understand. I think it's always human arrogance when we're like, we're the only creature around with intelligence.
Yes, so that I'm down for. That argument, sweet. The intelligent species, organisms out there, great.
There's got to be.
For them to exist at the same time and happen upon us at the same time as because on a universal scale, humans have only really been intelligent, civilized species for like 6,000 years.
I give you this much. Like, I would say that there's almost probably too many intelligent species.
That would be more likely.
See, you're way on a different wavelength than I am.
So let
That'd
me
be more
let me,
likely.
It is more likely.
Let me continue.
Yeah.
And that aliens coming to us is like another egocentric human thing to think.
Yep.
Right?
Yes,
Whereas there
exactly.
would probably be literally, and you could say any number of other species out there, theoretically, that those same aliens could go visit.
Well, my thought is also that suppose
Human
there are
arrogance
different,
suggests they would come here.
suppose there are different
Yeah, of course.
gravitational forces on their homeworld. Perhaps the one, suppose we were visited by extraterrestrials in 1984, dun dun dun, or 87, whenever it was, in Area 51. Suppose that happened. Perhaps during their journey here, that was perhaps a suicide mission, just like our astronauts going to Mars. Perhaps they came here and died and ejected their craft as debris.
Yeah.
And while they were gone, their civilization may have aged 40 trillion years to extinction.
Exactly.
Simply because of its trajectory in the universe, the gravitational forces upon it, their time might be moving so differently to ours that... sure, intelligent life out there, spacefaring life, sure, perhaps. It happening to be on the exact same timeline as us in a way that we can Star Trek or Star Wars interact with it, I don't believe in that whatsoever.
You're limiting it all based on time, and the theory in terms of how they travel is the ability to generate gravitational fields. If you have the ability
Which would slow down time dramatically, meaning in a lifespan, they can travel lifespans worth of distance.
Or it would increase it. Or potentially, if you could find a material that would do it, it would maybe push it backwards, so you do not lose time at all.
You arrived even earlier.
Ooh.
In which case, you don't sacrifice time.
Are we talking about time travel now?
Well,
this is great news.
I'm just saying that our concept of this...
saying that time travel is more likely than aliens...
No. I'm saying that, like,
it's
time
a way of
travel
saying aliens
being,
don't exist.
I'm saying that time being the way that we understand it has always been finite. Our understanding
linear.
of it.
Like we've always viewed like
I think both.
Through our
we can only view it through our
That's
lifespan,
right.
Yes.
Through our experiential
which has an
existence,
expiration.
Our only way that we even can see time is in a linear.
Well, here's two
paced
things that
fashion.
are true. Tomorrow I'll be older than I am today.
That's it.
And one day I'm going to die.
That's
No
it.
matter whether I avoid accident or not, old age will get me in the end.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we have two things fighting against us, right? Which is our traditional understanding of the function of time and its stability. Sure. Taxes.
Taxes.
I overheard this morning my mother-in-law trying to convince Rowan to share a dog. She wanted to pitch in on a dog and share a dog.
Oh boy.
What a weird idea.
Imagine if we shared
That
a
means
dog,
you get a dog.
with our mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Worse off, I get a dog, so I want a dog. I'll get a dog in a
doesn't
year or
want a
two.
dog?
I'm going to get a
love
dog.
my dog, man.
But I'm not going to have a dog that my mother-in-law has a fucking say in.
Oh
Share?
God, no.
That's crazy talk.
Yeah, that's
what, like,
absolutely insane.
Like, I'm not a hard, like, within my relationship, I'm a pretty open-minded guy where I'm like, we can entertain that. We can talk about it. This is one of those times where, like, I doubt Rowan's even going to bring it up to me. I bet she's going to hear this podcast before she brings it up to me. But I bet she's going to. I bet she's going to find a way to just be like, hard no. But if she does bring it up to me, I'm like, yeah, listen, I don't draw these like super hard lines in the sand very often. This one, Super
Let
hard
me have
no.
this one. Yeah.
We can get a dog and she can borrow it as she fucking pleases. But if I have to make a group decision with her based
Never.
on the health and lifestyle of my pet, we have a huge conflict. I am way out.
Yeah.
So anyway, go on. We don't need to divulge into mother-in-laws.
What was I saying? Time.
Time.
Oh, and just our own cellular deterioration.
Yeah.
That's
We
the
are
two
going to
limiting
die, and
factors.
we're always getting older.
That's
So-
right.
if you all of
Unless
a
we
sudden-
get a sweet UFO that allows us to travel the universe and go back in time.
Yeah, those would be the. Well, no, because you'd
would
still
we-
be cellularly.
We would still be aging.
This is the
while
problem.
we're going back through
Yeah.
time.
Whereas
That
if
blows.
if we could genetically alter ourselves to
Once we
share
take
some
the-
DNA with a jellyfish, we would be able to be immortal.
I'm sure the technology that comes with going back through time as you travel through space will have some sort of telomere lengthening effect.
So what I
Technology
think, what
as
I think I
well.
hear
Some sort
you
of CRISPR.
positing is that it's possible that some other species has figured out how to live forever.
I'm just saying that our understanding does not mean that that is the end of understanding.
No, absolutely. We never know where we're going to be 10 years from
Yeah.
now. We never know.
Yeah.
We've never been right about it. It's always
No.
like, boy, we'll be, this is the limit of our possibility. And then we go far beyond that.
Or way under it.
Or
We've
way
done
under
that
it.
too.
Well, yeah.
We were supposed to be Jetsons by now.
Yeah, well, we were supposed to, yeah.
Little bubble.
Yeah,
And
but
in some
Jetsons-
ways,
bubble
though,
pop.
we're
Jetsons
doing
didn't have
better than the
iPhones.
Jetsons, though. Yeah,
Dude,
like-
this thing, there are still days where I'm like throwing this into my bag or like pulling it out to do some shit, and I'm like, this is off Star Trek.
Yeah.
This shit right here is off Star Trek.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not quite as transparent as Star Trek, but I feel like that being a downside, not an upside. It still does more things than the ones in Star Trek did, except
Yeah.
for the scanning your body.
well,
for
there's
life science
some,
thing.
there's some,
I mean, it might soon.
well, we have
there's
watches
some
that
things we
add
could
that
guess at
capability.
Yeah.
it right now that
That's
we
fair.
would be close to the mark, but it wouldn't be exactly right. Mm-hmm. Right? Like you could guess at having floating cars in the '60s, and that might be a safe bet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when you get to the math of it, it doesn't really add up
That's
very
right.
well, right?
Yeah.
What was it? Like it's hard to do lanes in the air, right? That's what Elon Musk was saying. You'd be bumping into each other.
So that would be assuming that you are the one driving.
right.
It's not hard when you're not the one driving.
That's right.
Sure. Yeah.
Also,
If it was
gravitational
all-
forces.
If it was all self-driving.
Because right
Yeah.
now we have no way to fight gravity efficiently, and it looks like that technology is a long ways off for us.
It's also one of those things that, do we really need floating cars? What is the
the
need for that?
primary benefit is if we had
Speed.
true anti-gravitational device, we'd be reducing the amount of energy required to travel great distances. Right? If your car no longer had to carry its own weight, its energy efficiency would be much higher.
See, I was about to say, do we really need to get there faster? And then I thought, yeah, maybe we don't in Lethbridge, but certainly there are cities
right.
that are so congested.
And even
Well,
if-
think about it this way:
well,
like you live
automated
in
cars will
Lethbridge
already
and you
fix
work in
congestion.
Hong Kong because it takes you no time to get there. Like
Well, now we're
literally
talking
no
about
time.
teleporters, and I am pro teleporters.
but it's
Let me
not-
tell you.
It's not necessarily a teleporter.
Oh, you just gotta get the teleporter and go to work.
It's not necessarily a teleporter, but it does kind of facilitate as such. Even though you're moving through space the same, you wouldn't be losing the
Now,
time
if
part.
you were traveling 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 kilometers. Wait, no, we're talking Hong Kong.
That would
That's
open
a
up
lot.
your
If we
job
were going
potential.
west. Yeah, that would be like 3,000, 4,000 kilometers, right?
Yeah.
If we were going 3,000, 4,000 kilometers in 20 minutes,
Jesus
you
Christ.
you would have an impact on your temporal experience.
Oh, for sure you would.
yeah.
Explain.
Traveling at that speed,
No,
traveling,
you're losing the idea of speed at that point in time.
traveling, yeah,
This is
that
not
velocity.
but you're not experiencing velocity in the same thing. That's the trick about any of that stuff. If you can start interacting with gravity, you're not in the plane.
Oh,
that is
right, because
experiencing
we're
velocity.
assuming a gravitationally.
You would be entirely still.
Except we're accepting a vehicle that has exception from standard gravity.
Understanding of gravity, yeah. You'd be outside of all of it. You could go through the ocean and
Boys.
have
So
that
it would be
same
different
Boys.
than making a car that could go that fast.
Yes.
We should go to
very
university.
different.
Yeah.
So like the closest that we have to this is the vacuum tube thing, right?
Yeah.
Where they're trying to shoot you off in a vacuum tube, and you still feel
bullet
force of
train style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still feel acceleration in that.
Oh, dear God, of
even though
course.
you're in a vacuum, you're going to feel that G-force. This would be sans any of that.
Not necessarily.
Yes, it would, because those
this-
forces literally bend around the field that's getting built in front of you.
No, so the type of vehicle I'm talking about is more Luke's speeder on Tatooine.
Oh, sure,
It's
yeah,
more-
that's
it's more
crazy.
pod racer, where you're only overcoming the gravity of the planet through electromagnetic forces.
So
Oh,
what you're
okay, so
saying
like
is
a
we don't
maglev
build
kind
that
of thing.
car. We built
Yeah,
the one
yeah.
Kevin's talking about.
Yeah.
Well, the maglev thing, like they do maglev trains now too. And
Well,
I guess
yeah,
that'd
but
be
those are based on having solid iron rails that they can specifically magnet off of.
Yes.
Right? They're electromagneting.
But it's still technically the same thing, right? Like you're
Sort
combating
of.
the gravitational
so
force.
Instead, you'd be intending to use the Earth in this case, which
Okay.
is a very different technology because the Earth isn't ferrous. Like those trains are using ferrous magnetism.
Yeah.
Whereas to travel like Luke's speeder, you have to use actual. Like it's a different technology to simply lift above mass versus moving above ferrous. Because we know how ferrous magnetism works. It's much different than gravitational, like mass oppositional forces.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yes, in that case, if you're doing a Luke speeder thing, it'd be messing with you pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be too fast, too furious.
Well,
right
it's
there.
the same as even in space. Have you watched?
How many years would you lose
Have you
off
watched
your
The
life
Expanse?
going to Hong Kong from Lethbridge every day in that case?
No idea.
Depends whether you're going against the Earth's rotation or with the Earth's rotation.
Jeez. It gets even worse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure does.
Well, I lost a year today. Yesterday I only lost 2 months. It's no
But
good.
the trick is, you wouldn't be aging differently. It'd be the Earth aging differently around you.
That's
Yeah.
insanity. It's hard to imagine because you get
It
home and
is.
your wife would have more wrinkles. Right? Like,
I think it'd
just
be more-
like, what the hell happened to you?
It'd probably be
Well,
more
I'm the
subtle
same
than
as
that,
I
Well, that's
was
right?
when I left.
you'd only be losing a matter of seconds or minutes per day.
Yeah.
Right? Like going that speed. So like when we talk about losing years at a time, we're talking about near light speed travel.
Yeah.
Near light speed travels.
Well,
when you
you'd
start
have to be if
use-
you're going to Hong Kong from
Yeah.
Lethbridge.
Well, no, near light. No, Hong Kong to Lethbridge is only 9. Like if you want to go to Hong Kong to Lethbridge in 20 minutes,
20 minutes.
We're only talking about 9,000, 10,000 kilometers an hour, right? Which when we're talking on a scale of time distortion, which is measured from normal, we'll call it, to light speed, which is infinite. That's like here.
If you could even
only
just
gone
get
this
out of
far on that
geocentric
scale.
orbit, you'd get there so fast.
Oh yeah, fair. If you did one of these.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
or if you had something to bring you out of that geocentric orbit.
Do you think the
on
world's
Earth.
economy would
elevator.
shift dramatically if we could work wherever the fuck we wanted?
Yeah. Of course.
Of course. Yes.
Oh, I live here, but
I've got
I
a
like
meeting
to
in
work
London,
here.
and I've got
Put it
a
this way,
Yeah.
planes
an afternoon tea
have already
in
started the
Dubai.
process.
Yeah,
Yeah. Planes are like a microcosm of what your
Yeah.
eventuality would be, right?
yeah, planes are, but
But that's also like there's like 90 different steps that would have to happen in order for something like that to be even possible.
do you think one day we're there?
Or we're past it, and our view of what is possible is pretty silly.
I think we are past it. I think it's more likely to be developing online.
That would make more sense.
Right.
You know what I
Like,
mean?
We can be wherever we want and be working basically wherever we want.
Once hologram
when you
technology
don't
is
have-
good enough, I can tattoo people through Zoom.
Yeah, like a Zoom machine that has arms, articulating arms
Well,
on
no,
the other side.
holographic technology.
But
Once you
holographs would just be
holographic
light.
Technology. No. We're talking Star Trek holography here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just beam in my next appointment, Kevin.
We've
that'd be
we've
cool.
clearly gone outside the realms of where we know where we know anything what the fuck we're talking about.
Of course.
That's where I
so-
started. I didn't know anything about anything I've said today.
Yeah. no.
Exactly. So since we're already to
Armchair
that point
experts.
of mysticism and nonsense that we don't understand, we may as well discuss a hologram where I can like punch into Zoom and be a hologram tattooing somebody in Hong Kong.
See, I do like that type of mysticism more. You know what I mean? Like the
It's much easier to
possibilities version.
believe
The
than,
Jetsons version.
than the
Yeah.
multiverse theory that I
Well, like the
proposed earlier.
possibilities version is less certain. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Well, we have
it
no way of
could
finding
be-
out ever.
Yeah, but that's most people's certainty. You have no way of finding out ever. And
Well, I mean, welcome to
develop-
religion.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like I love the idea of possibilities, and I like the kind of mythical side of thinking that way. but it's because it's all with a question mark. But like once it's with an exclamation point, it's like, whoa, what are we
Anytime
talking
you're talking indefinites,
Yeah.
that's when it gets a little strange.
It scares the shit out of me.
And we live in a world where a lot of people speak the language of plausibility and add the exclamation mark.
Yeah.
Like, this is possible for sure. Hold your horses.
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
And just plausible doesn't put it in the realm of reachable in our lifetime.
No.
It's true.
Realizable.
Sometimes you go for nuclear fusion and you accidentally get nuclear fission and you create bombs instead.
Yeah. Big
And
time.
he was dead set on the fact that he was making a good thing.
The path to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah, 100%.